Good morning. I'm fine, and thanks for your invitation.
Well, I'm feeling pretty happy actually, Sabine, given I hear that this is your first podcast, so I feel very privileged to be hosting yourself today.
Yeah, this is the learning for today for me. You know, this lifetime learning is something I'm also doing and experiencing today.
Well, I'm sure it's going to be amazing, and I'm sure our listeners are going to thoroughly enjoy hearing the answers to my questions to you today. And I suppose it would be really good for us to introduce you, and for those who maybe don't know you, for maybe listeners in other countries around the world that we have following. Tell us about yourself, Sabine, and a bit more about your role and your career in HR.
So currently, I'm the CHRO of Commerzbank. I'm responsible for approximately 40,000 people around the world. And our headquarters is in Germany. Myself, I'm an Austrian, so I'm a foreigner in that country. This is also the reason why there is the map in the back. Maybe you wonder why the hell is there a map? This is because sometimes I still need orientation if somebody is asking me to join any event. I need to figure out how long it will take me to go there. So for me, this is my first role being a board member in HR. But before that, I joined several other companies and I started my career in HR. So I'm an HR person, and since more than 18 years now, I'm responsible for HR departments in several industries, mainly in the banking industry, but also in the airline industry. So different types of industries, but always HR. So this is what I was always aiming for that.
And why HR? What was it about HR that kind of motivated you? Why did you build a career in HR?
Honestly, the reason why I joined HR, this was purely by accident. And this is the honest answer. There was no strategic career thinking behind that. It was simply the situation that when I graduated with my studies, the market for employees was quite different. Not many jobs available at that time. And I was thinking quite pragmatically, the first thing I get, I'll do. So this was the reason why after studying law, I jumped into labor law. And this was then the way how I started in HR. But then I really, very, very fast, I figured out that for me, it is the most interesting position in a company because it is definitely the core, the heart of a company. And sometimes we forget that because sometimes we think that the engine of a company is sales or customer experience or whatever, finance or but if you really think about what does it mean to be an organization, being an organization, and it doesn't matter how large it is not more than people are working together. So it is all about people. And so if you'd like to have a quite broad view on a company, if you are interested really on the organization at itself, HR gives you the possibility really to influence the whole organization. And I think that this is something I always loved.
And it's so true. I think and it's easy for us to see many of the front-facing departments as the representatives of the org or the center of the org. But, there's so much that HR does behind the scenes and also front-facing now. We're elevating employer value propositions and culture and trying to bring them out and live and breathe our values externally. That actually HR's really is the core and the center and across everything. So I totally agree with that, Sabine. So what made you want to be a CHRO? Because I can imagine that, being a board member of, quite a large bank in multiple territories, I mean, that is a big role. What motivated you to want to do the role of CHRO?
I really love the idea to be part of the board. And not always as an HR person on the second level, Before that, I always had the role supporting the CHRO didn't exist at the time, the CEO, because usually or very often HR is reporting to the CEO. So this was what I was used to. But the idea of being part of the team, of the board team, more than that being a part, but having a voice on board or at that board team, that is quite interesting for me. Because you are then not only responsible for people business, you are also responsible for the whole result, and this makes a difference. And it's always, for me as well, it was, as today, a learning journey. It makes my own skill set broader, and I love to have that role, and I think that HR people they should really fight for that place at the board level.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, to be honest, Sabine, I'm still shocked when I see businesses that don't have a representative from the HR sitting on the board or the executive team, and they do exist, even in some quite large companies. We still see that, and it does beg the question, how you can really kind of drive the people agenda if all the individuals are kind of more departmental or divisional focused rather than holistically looking at the people org as a whole. So let's dive into some of the questions and some of the themes of the podcast. You've had a really good career in HR, and you've, as you mentioned, done, pivoted across industries. What are you seeing that exists in the HR space right now, or what strategies are you kind of focusing on that maybe didn't exist 10 years ago?
I'm not sure if there are disciplines that really did not exist, because the core business, honestly spoken, didn't change that much. What are we doing? We are providing a place where people are able to work. We are hiring, we are attracting people, and we try to develop them. This was always our story. I think what absolutely changed is the way how we are doing it today. So the way how to attract people, the way how to hire them. Maybe there is something that really came in addition to what I've seen 10 or 15 years ago. And this is the part of data science, data analytics. So honestly spoken, this was something, if you would have asked me 15 years ago, are you hiring data scientists for HR? I would not have any clue what for. And so now this is something that is definitely needed. Yeah. So on the technological side, I think that there was maybe the strongest development, and but this is true for each and every HR discipline. So if you think about the job all of us are doing every day, and this is the normal recruiting job. years ago, you would have asked the manager about the profile of the role. You would have then written the job ad, and you are posting the job ad. Then you are waiting for the applicants. You're doing your interviews. You are presenting the best 2-3 candidates to your hiring manager. That was our recruiting process 10 years ago. Maybe it is still valid for the one or the other position, but overall, the whole process for the mass totally changed. Totally. There is no post and pray system any longer. Yeah, you are not posting and praying that there is somebody applying. You need to go into the social media market. You need to start active sourcing. You are not waiting until somebody is applying. You are really targeting your candidates. And then you are offering them a candidate journey.
What's your view then on AI from a HR perspective? Like, what do HR professionals need to be thinking about when we talk about AI right now?
So I think we should be super, super curious. Yeah. So we should really deep dive into that topic. We should understand what's going on there. And even if it is super difficult, because this is an absolute new technology and nobody knows, or I would say not that many people really know about AI pretty much. But we all know it will change our work environment, and we all know it will change more or less in parts our life. Currently, what I think is in the upcoming months, years, where could it help? And this is the most important question. It should help us, or it will even free us from our administrative stuff a little bit more than robotics did. So the first step was robotics. Then we started to digitalize our processes. And now I hope that AI can help us even more, freeing us from this administrative work, from when you think about call center and also our HR colleagues, they are running kind of service center, call center, because our customers, our employees, they also have a lot of questions, and they are trying to figure a lot of their things out via calls. So I think that we will see a lot of improvement on the call center side. We will see a lot of things that we can use it, I think, and it will help us on the operations, maybe also on recruiting side, on the pre-selection side. So there are a lot of possibilities. Not all of them we are able to imagine now, because we are not that deep into that technology already. But you have this gut feeling, that there's something to come, and we should be happy if it really comes, because I don't know any HR department worldwide that wouldn't have better things to do than all this administrative stuff that we are still taking care on. And if we would get rid a little bit of these more or less boring stuff, and we could focus on things that are so much more fun, I think that the world will be a little bit better.
And so I really love that, the fact that you're kind of throwing yourself in curiously, and you're, asking everyone to do so. And is there anything that, I have to, given you're so positive about it, I have to ask, is there anything that you see that concerns you about AI? Are there anything that you've seen that maybe we should be watching out for?
So of course you need to watch out carefully. And for example, I'm playing around with ChatGPT. I'm asking to provide me some content, some speeches, and I'm always curious what comes out. And there are 3 speeches that I super happy with, and I think, wow, that's cool. And the 4th one is absolutely crap. And so yeah, and AI is something that summarizes content, and it is mixturing content in different ways, and sometimes it makes sense and sometimes it makes no sense. And we should not forget that there is a machine behind, and machines do not have any gut feeling. And if we think about, for example, where could it really help? It could help to for example, make a pre-selection in the recruiting process to make it clear. So is there any need to read, I don't know, 10, 15 CVs any longer? Maybe not. Maybe that for some mass functions, AI will provide us then the 5 or 6 perfect candidates. What I'm not sure about currently is, would I then trust an AI and would I give the final decision to an AI? And I don't think so. Because there is so much more than skill set, as we know. Yeah, so I think that this is something that can be checked via any other system. But then, would the person fit to the company? Would the person fit to the company culture? Is there a good attitude? Is there the way people are talking to you? The way they are trustful or not. Now, this is something where I still think that humans are better in. And I think that it would be a quite good combination.
So let's move into the conversation on skills then. So I'm seeing, certainly when I talk to CHROs around the globe and chief people officers, I'm seeing a real focus this year on how they get their organizations to a skills-based organization. There's a lot of talk about skills-based hiring and skills-based organizations. Let me just preface this by saying, I think that is a big journey to go on for any organization. And I don't think it's a kind of year journey for anyone to be able to go, yeah, in a year we'll be a skills-based organization. But, I'm interested in your thoughts and insights around becoming a skills-based organization. Is this just a buzz?
Several years ago, everybody would have told you, I'm not hiring for skills, I'm hiring for potential. And then skills follow, because this is something you are able to develop. Potential is something you are bringing with you. I always loved that idea. In reality, I still hired because of a special skill set and experience that people brought with them. Now, what I think about that is, we are super happy if people are joining our company for more than 2 to 3 years. We in the average, and this is very special for Commerzbank, people stay within the company for the average more than 20 years, 22 years now. So, and in this environment, for us, it is absolutely crucial that people who are willing to stay with the company, they are willing to stay with the company, but they are not willing to do the same profession their whole life. So they like to do different kind of jobs, different kind of professions, and they need to do sometimes upskilling trainings to get better, become better in something, but very often real reskilling programs. And so this is one of our major focus points for the upcoming, I would say, 5 to 10 years now, because we definitely change our skill set. Because industry is changing, because technology is changing, and people are still more or less the same. So they need to change their skills as well. And to work with the staff that is currently here, that has the right attitude, that has the right culture, they know the company, they are willing to move. In Commerzbank, very often people are really, really willing to move from one country to the other. They are willing to change their jobs. So I think this is something that is in our genes.
And I love that. And I think, you know, even though I'm in the recruitment industry and have done my whole career, I would absolutely argue that retaining staff and upskilling them has got to be the best and number one goal for any organization. And, you know, if you do that well, you will reduce the need to go to market. You'll reduce the need to compete in this really challenging market. But also you'll create a culture and environment that speaks for itself. The culture will be controlled by, you know, the great experience that the employees are having, and people will come in and want to stay. And I see a lot of organizations with, you know, a really high turnover rate, mainly not having a focus on skills, mainly not having programs in place that encourage people to pivot, you know, absolutely pivot. Like you said, in Commerzbank, very common to just pivot, complete different roles, move countries. Well, what a fantastic thing to look forward to in your career, right? Moving on to our final topic, this emerging theme of sustainable talent models. You know, we're in a really dynamic work environment that's constantly changing. And I'm interested in your thoughts on, you know, how HR departments and divisions focus on building a sustainable model to meet the demands of today.
I think that our world also developed into a very, very complex organization, and it needs to be complex because it is not as easy as it was. So if you ask me, would I aim for different roles, for example, for talent management or attracting the attracting part versus the development part versus the culture development part, I would say yes. Me, honestly, I split it, yeah, because of the complex of the professions. You need to have a broad and deep know-how currently, and you need to have resources that are really taking care on the ones on the employer market. So when it comes to the way how you are attracting employer branding itself, employer branding, this is quite different profession as, for example, today the skill manager, the training officer, whatever. It is not one and the same. So if you are big enough, makes sense for sure, yeah, to split it as well as the operation, as well as corporate ban and so on. And it depends on the size. As it became more complex, and if you have the resources, I would really, really focus on the different disciplines.
Yeah, exactly. Great. I think, thank you for going through all of those themes and thank you for those answers. I'd like to just finish by asking you a couple of questions to give some advice to our listeners and audience. The first one would be, what would you tell HR or people managers to ensure they're ready for the future of work?
So technology is absolutely crucial for us, but on the other side, the HR environment, we HR people, we invented a lot of tools in the past. Yeah, so there is a performance tool, there is a target tool, there is a skill tool, there is a competence tool, there are competence models, there is, you name it, appraisal, payment, whatever. And what we maybe could do is we could do less of that. Because we should ask ourselves, is that still valid? Do our managers and our employees, do they really need these kind of tools? Do they bring value to the organization? Or is that an additional administrative burden? Giving you the example, because now it's the first quarter passed by, and I think that everybody was suffering about the yearly appraisal processes, where you are then you are having your one-on-ones and you do your performance appraisals. And I really think that it is super, super important to talk about what were our targets last year, what do we have achieved, what could we do better, what should we do less of. I'm not that convinced any longer that we need to then fill it into all of our HR tools and fill then the content in all these appraisal systems that and whenever we start to implement a new HR tool, what we could do, all of us, we could get rid of another one. So we should exchange them. Not put additional tools in our HR world, because I think we have enough. We invited enough.
I love that response. And that response for me is, put the people first. Think about the value. Does it bring them value? And also, don't create yourself more administrative work, right? Fundamentally, let's swap in, swap out. That's fantastic. And then final question. LevelUP's mission is to develop solutions to elevate the world of work. What does elevate in the world of work mean to you?
We need to follow the deeds of the people who are working in that society. And giving you the example, the elevating the work was for me in the previous 3 years, of course, to come up with a new kind of working policies, work from abroad, work at home, remote work, and home office policies. What I think that really brings value is that, or I hope so, because we started that now 3 days ago, from the 1st of April on, we changed our, for example, home office model. And we said, okay, we stopped talking about these quotas. Yeah, how many days do you need to be at the office, or are you able to work from home? Because what I understood is whatever I decide, it's wrong. For some of my team members and for others, it's true and good. So what we decided now is we are offering a framework, but we are delegating the decision about the model to the teams. And we said, okay, dear team, it's on you now. You decide how to work, where to work, how many days at the office and how many days from home, what is good for you and what is good for your work, that counts. And then there is a framework where we say, but we'd like you to be together and to work as a team also physically. So we did just a definition what we do not like. We do not like 100% at home. We said we'd like to see each other within the team minimum 1 day a week, but the rest is on you. And I think that if you ask me what brings us further, what is so the next step, I think that that needs to be done with each and every tool. We need to create tools that become much, much more flexible, that trust people, that we trust our people, and that we really rely on that they know best how to be high performing, or how to get high performing teams or become high performing teams. So I'm absolutely convinced that it needs both. It needs leadership as well as decisions that are done by the teams. And last but not least, maybe when you ask me for last advice to my HR colleagues, what me personally, I also suffered a lot, is if HR people are offering tools and they are creating tools, implementing tools for managers without being a manager. What I would do, or what I try to do, is that you need to use the tools you are offering. This is the first prerequisite. And the second is you need to build tools and create tools together with the people who need to use them then. Yeah, or who would love to use them would be the best. But because I really often needed to use a technical tool as a manager, and I was wondering who the hell developed that thing.
Elevating the world of work is about creating flexible environments, right fit for the right person, and right tools for the right job. We spend so much time at work that it is important that we create environments that people really enjoy and thrive in, and that will impact society, as you say. Sabine, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast. Your authenticity, your openness, your deep thought on some of the questions has been an absolute amazing time to spend an hour with you, especially how busy you are. So thank you so much for joining the podcast.
Thanks, Grant, for inviting me. Thanks again. And have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us for today's episode. Stay connected by subscribing to the Level Up With Us podcast on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or find us on our website, leveluphcs.com. Tune in for the next episode of Level Up With Us. Until next time.